Hi muggles. To be honest, I need to apologise to you guys and gals. I have been on hiatus since October, and it has been for a multitude of reasons. Not the least of which is because my mic broke. So I'm very sorry if this audio quality is actually terrible. The real other reason I've been on break, aside from what I've already said, is actually just because I've been working on a huge project since 2022, and honestly, as much as it pains me to hold back a 2-year period of my life making both music and film, the time when I do leak it will come soon, I assure you. I also have a playlist of recordings discussing all this in YouTube in the description, so if you desperately want the trip to begin now, or at least to get some snippets or hints to the project as of post-February, go ahead, go watch them. They are really boring to the average viewer, but if you really desperately want to listen to that and just hear me ramble, willingly go ahead. Also, the work will be releasing later this year. Anyways, big news aside, let's talk about one of my biggest interests, aside from goblin rebellions, space, and literally anything to do with Harry Potter: the ocean. It's been a while since I've done a video that's semi-educational, so let's just dive straight into this. I'm gonna be honest. We know nothing about the ocean, and that's okay because we as humans can't exactly stay down there for long because we need air bubbles to survive. But from what we do know, the ocean is by far the most insane ecosystem on Earth. You could not take these animals above land and place them in the same biome. It just wouldn't work. But here in the ocean, it does. You have jellyfish, sharks, fish, squids, octopuses, and get your mind out the gutter, I did not just say pussy. Dolphins, orcas, like literally the most insane animal on this planet. An 26-foot long beast of a creature that is not only cool looking, but has a heart the size of a car, and has by far the best voice in the animal kingdom. How is it possible that we as humans can know of a creature so mind-blowing? Literally, if aliens came to Earth, I think they'd be surprised by these animals. Maybe even terrified. Just an overall 10 out of 10 species, I can't lie. But seriously though, I think a large part of why I love the ocean is the mystery of it all. If you didn't know, the ocean is divided into 3 different zones: the euphotic, the dysphotic, and the aphotic. Which in the most watered down simple terms, euphotic being the brightest upper layer, the 12 o'clock PM zone if you will. The aphotic is the darkest and has the highest pressure. This is the midnight zone, in which all your anglerfish and your vampire squids come in, which makes the dysphotic the liminal space in between the black void and the bright sky, which I refer to as the dusk zone, or the sunset zone. To talk about animals here, when you think of the euphotic zone, it's pretty much the ones you already know of. Animals like sharks, dolphins, shrimp, tuna, whales, starfish, sea turtles, stingrays, and just your standard fish. But as we go down further, things get a lot weirder and, oddly enough, a lot bigger. Take the dysphotic zone. Sperm whales, stop being immature, octopi, and other strange types of fish. But here's where it gets interesting. In the aphotic zone, in complete darkness, 6 kilometers underground, with extreme spine-fracturing pressures, we have several creatures: the anglerfish, viperfish, fangtooth, and lizardfish, which make me believe the whole idea of natural selection is so true that if you live 6 kilometers underground in immense darkness and terror, you end up looking like the immense darkness and terror. I mean, adapted for their functions, these guys are horrifying. No wonder they were buried at the bottom of the darkest corners of the ocean. But to stop taking the piss out of these nightmare-fueled creatures, we can relate a lot of these to reptiles, especially with how they're named. For instance, the lizardfish. Another thing to note is that they all have something in common with light. Producing light, conserving light. The anglerfish, for example, as we all know, takes Dumbledore very seriously, with a light directly above its head like it's surrounded by Dementors in Azkaban. Me too. But no, actually, the phenomenon of creatures finding a way to produce some form of light to keep them safe is so useful to their survival, it's partly why these animals can even remain alive. The scientific term for this is bioluminescence, which is actually defined as when a creature can produce its own form of light. And I find this pretty interesting because, let's be honest, nothing in our overseas world glows in the dark, aside from fireflies, or your phone when you need a glass of water in the middle of the night. But these types of animals just have it naturally embedded in them that they can physically produce light in order to see and guide themselves through the seascape. And it's not just in one way either. Each different animal has alternate ways to produce it. Jellyfish are probably one of my favourites. They just look so mind-bogglingly gorgeous when emitting their colourful glow in the depths of the water. It's almost entrancing how mesmerising this is. This light is usually used to stand out to prey, or even to protect themselves from the dark and the rest of the ocean wanting to consume them alive. It's not only pretty, but a genuinely fascinating way to stay alive and keep reproducing. And it also has very, very versatile effects at times. Like, sometimes it can be comforting light, and other times it can be disturbing as and haunt my literal nightmares. As for the Aphotic's other creatures, you have the vampire squid, which looks like an umbrella, the gulper eel, which looks like a sperm cell, which I probably shouldn't make fun of it, as it could literally shock me with high voltage, a load of other species of starfish, and a heck of a lot of other creatures. But then, there's a creature which I know you would have all heard of before, or at least seen. This big thing, which was coined as the ugliest animal on Earth in 2013 by the Ugly Animal Preservation Society, and the internet went wild. There was such a big controversy over if it was really deserving of the ugly title, or if it was truly just incredibly adorable. And I think that's really telling to us, because just because something is called ugly doesn't mean it really is, because something might be ugly to you and pretty to me. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Coral reefs. I actually think coral reefs aren't talked about enough with us humans. It's more than just a pretty foam wallpaper or a painting. This is an absolutely stunning and insane movie of life, from the coral itself to the animals that dwell around it. I mean, heck, if you've ever been to one, you'll know exactly how insane these things are. There are over 1 million aquatic species living in these things alone. Also, corals are animals, and that's just pointing out how all this art is constructed by literal creatures, which is nuts. Not only do corals grow 10 centimeters a year, the same rate at which our hair grows, fun fact, they also clean up the area of water they're surrounded by, and even act as a barrier from incoming storms. I mean, name another creature capable of doing that, 'cause I can't. Alright, name some underwater animals. The first that come to mind are like bottlenose dolphins, blue tangs, sea turtles, clownfish, sharks. All of these creatures live in coral reefs. Not only that, but coral reefs are some of, if not the most important ecosystems on the entire planet. A whole quarter of ocean life lives in them. That's how valuable they are. But other than that, I think kelp forests are cool. And admittedly, that's not just because of my second favourite song ever. People don't ever really think of kelp forests all that much, but they are picturesque, man. Just admirable. You know, the ocean really is a wonder, because in this amount of time, I haven't even covered half of it. It's like I said before, the ocean is truly a mystery. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.